practice. Debo Samuel has a foot contusion, will not practice. K1 Williams ankle, will not practice today. We'll see how it goes in the week. Mosley hamstring, also not practicing today. We'll see how it goes in the week. And Kevin Givens excused for personal reasons. Go ahead, guys.
Is Debo's foot contusion at all related to his injury from over the summer?
No, he just took a knee on the foot. So not related, but too sore today to go. I bet if it was a Wednesday, he'd probably be able to go, but to us, it's a Tuesday.
I'm just curious, Kyle, what you saw from watching Washington's film and their ability to come back against the Steelers, and just really how hard that is in today's NFL to come back from a double-digit deficit and halftime deficit.
I don't think it's very hard in today's NFL. It depends how many possessions you get. It's when no matter how much you're down, if you get that many possessions and you're playing defense the way that they have, you got a shot. And they're playing really good defense. Can't remember whether they got a turnover or not that helped them out. And then they've been running the ball well. So they made the plays there at the end. And I know Pittsburgh got out to a lead, but Washington stayed with it, and they played real sound football.
Hey, Kyle, you had mentioned that you wanted to kind of see how things go the first week there and settle in before if you need to make any changes. Was there anything that popped up that you needed to kind of fix going into this week just in terms of the setup and that?
No, I think the setup's great. Kind of like I was saying last week, I think the setup's as good as we could have hoped for. After 1 week's over, this is the longest we've been, so I think the second week it sets in a little bit. So I think some guys had to get out of here some, and players and stuff, especially yesterday on their day off a little bit. But besides that, going into a short week, we didn't have, it went so fast with just yesterday being really combined 2 days for us. So haven't had much time to think about it.
You've been evaluating quarterbacks since you started out in the league. Now that you've been a head coach, do you look at them any differently? Do you change your perspective on how you evaluate them at all?
Quarterbacks?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm a head coach. Maybe, I don't know. But how I evaluate everything is always changing. Things change, people change. You start to see you can win football games with any type of quarterback as long as they are good enough, and you can be good enough in hundreds of different ways. So, I evaluate quarterbacks in terms of trying to find people who can have a chance to be one of those elite type guys, and there's lots of different ways to do it. You can see now there's plenty of different ways. So I don't think that'll ever change. I don't think you have one certain thing you're looking for. You're just trying to find a guy who is better than about 98% of the people on this planet or in this country. And when you find that, you get him and you adjust to him.
We characterized Trent Taylor as a healthy scratch for this most recent game. Has he been entirely healthy? Are those injuries that he dealt with in previous years still a bit of a factor in how he's able to move around?
I think you'd have to ask Trent more. I don't think he's been healthy week in and week out throughout the whole year. But with Ayuk coming back, Debo being back, with Bourne taking over the third role, Richie and being a capable punt returner, and also our fourth receiver, and then Ayuk being able to do a punt returner, and River Craycraft had done a good job for us on special teams and more areas than as a returner. So he just ended up being the odd man out with guys being healthy. And once you're not that slot receiver, KB took that over, and it's going to always come down to special teams, and that's where it's been unfortunate for him.
It felt like you guys had a lot of juice going into this game, a lot of confidence, and then after the game was probably as dejected as we've really seen you guys all year, just based on that confidence going in. How do you sort of balance that and that emotional fatigue and guys kind of having that motivation being in Arizona to say we're going to go on this playoff run, and now you have that let off? How do you sort of balance that and keep that momentum?
I think that's the challenge. Monday night was a letdown. We did feel that way. What you felt was true. I think that's what was. There wasn't much in our minds that pictured us losing that game, just the way we felt, the week we had. We did go into that very confidently, and so we were pretty disappointed after the game. That carries into yesterday, and you just got to get through it and look at stuff. It was nice to have a team meeting today. It was my first time with the team, since leaving the locker room on Monday. And it took longer than usual for the team meeting. I showed a bunch of clips for offense and defense, and because when you go into a game expecting to play a certain way, the way it got out of hand a little bit on a few big plays on defense, and then a couple missed opportunities on offense where that was just very frustrating because the way the game got dictated is I compare it to how the New Orleans game was last year, and I do believe, I know we were up for that, and we didn't get it done. So you got to show the guys what happened, why it happened, so we can work on not letting it happen again this week. But I want guys to know that, and we felt great before that game. Just because you didn't go out and do what you expected to do. I mean, if you let that change how you felt 3.5 hours before that, you need to check yourself. We need to figure out what we struggled with, and when you make a few mistakes, especially versus a team like that and the way they were on offense and how hot they were and their quarterback, that's the stuff that happens. And you try to show why and not try to make too big a deal about stuff, but also understand that you can't do these mistakes if you want to win football games.
Kyle, you mentioned expecting that Buffalo game to go like the New Orleans game last year. This one, given Washington's defensive line and how well their defense is playing, is this one that you expect to be a little bit more of a defensive slog?
Well, no, I mean, I was really saying that. That's the feeling I felt during the game. I mean, I didn't feel that way all week. I know we had a challenge on going against our offense, but I mean, we've had a challenge going against a number of good offenses. I mean, we went against the Rams, who I'm not sure, but if you go off numbers, they might have been higher at the time. Same with the Saints, maybe. Not totally sure. So that doesn't mean you just go into a game expecting it to be a game you got to score 50 in. But the way it went early in that game, it kind of had that feeling. But I also felt like we were up for it on offense. The way that first drive went with the 99 yards, but not being able to get in the end zone was a little foreshadowing of some of the frustration that was going to continue throughout that game. So that was more what I felt. When you look at it this week, I mean, Washington's winning games because they're playing really good defense and they're doing a good job on offense. I know their numbers aren't there, but if you look at the last 4 games, they are. I mean, the last 4 games, offense, I think they're 7th in points. I think they're 10th in yards. I think they're 10th in rushing. So that's winning football right there if you're playing really good defense. And they have been doing that all year. They got a good scheme. They got a lot of talent. And that's why they're a tough win for anybody right now.
It seemed like at practice you had a pretty close eye on Brandon Ayuk just as a punt returner. There's a group of people that are in the mindset that you don't want to have your best player returning punts for injury risk, and then there's another group of people that think that you just want to get the best player the ball every opportunity you get. What went into the decision for you just to let Ayuk return punts, and what was your takeaway from his lone return?
I mean, I've been wanting to use him. We always knew we would use him there if he did as good as he did in college, and nothing's changed, and we felt that since the day we met him. But you want to wait till he's consistently getting out there, getting a few more practices in. And I told him on Wednesday when we met early in that week that he was going to have some opportunities in the game. I didn't know exactly which ones, but that's also what went into Taylor going down, that we knew we had 2 guys that we could go with, Richie or Ayuk. I wanted to give Ayuk a chance, and he got one on the first punt of the game. So it just happened to be really late, and he did with it what we were hoping he could do. And I understand people's philosophy on that. I mean, when you have a starting receiver like that, you're probably not going to put him out there every single time. But I view punt returns and kick returns as 2 totally different things. Punt returns, I think, are a lot easier to protect yourself on as opposed to a kickoff return. Doesn't mean you can't get hurt, though. You can get hurt on anything.
You mentioned Washington's defense playing so well. They obviously have made major investments in their defensive line. Is it similar? I don't know about scheme-wise, but do you see similarities just them being able to get pressure with the front 4 and I don't know, create a lot of havoc with just them and then being able to bucket coverage?
Saying similarities into us?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Similarities to...
I mean, the philosophy of build a big-time D line so you can play your schemes behind them with only 4. I would say that's similar to our philosophy and what we've tried to build. Just schematic wise and stuff. I mean, they're very similar to Carolina, not Carolina, Buffalo, where Sean's been and Mark have been, but or sorry, Ron. But so I see them more similar to that type of scheme and everything. But in terms of having one of the best D lines in the NFL, so you can be extremely sound behind it and make people work for everything. Yeah, I see it the same that way.
I have a question about Ron Rivera for you, Kyle. Knowing the NFL coaching journey, how well do you know Ron, and what kind of words of encouragement maybe did you reach out while he was kind of going through his treatments at the start of the year?
I mean, I know Ron just from being a coordinator in Atlanta and playing against him. I never knew him or have been in, but I've ran into him a couple times, and he's always been exactly how he comes off to everyone else. I mean, just ultimate class, very good person, very good coach. Every time I've gone against him, it's been nice seeing him at the owners' meetings and stuff. The times we've had it since I've been a head coach, and he's one of the better ones in our league. Who's been doing it for a long time, and I feel the football team is very fortunate to have Ron.
Just curious about your impressions of Alex Smith and just the resiliency he showed coming back off that injury that seemed to be career threatening.
Oh, my mind. I mean, as much respect as you can have for anyone. I don't know Alex, but I mean, I heard about it, which was amazing. I did see the episode everyone saw. For him to go through what he went through and to still want to come back, it's definitely not a money thing. The guy is all right in that area. It's not something he had to do. It shows why he's been successful in everything he's done. Showed why he had a great college career. Showed why he was a top pick in the draft. It showed why he's helped out 3 different teams now. And for him to come back and just want to come back after going through that, it shows there's a lot of special things inside that guy.
Kyle, following up on DJ Jones, was it indeed a high ankle sprain, and what are the chances that he plays for you guys again this season?
Yeah, it wasn't a high ankle sprain, so very fortunate that he'll play again for us this season. But it's not healthy enough to go today. So I'm holding out hope for it this week, but it'll be a day-to-day thing.
All right, folks, thanks.
All right, thanks, guys.
looking at the film, what was your assessment of how the defense played and what you could have done better?
Well, I think just as a whole, we obviously didn't play our best ball. We didn't execute the way that we are that we know we can. It wasn't because we had a bad week of practice or guys weren't locked in. We just got to translate it to Sundays, and we've done a good job of that all season. And this was just one of those ones where we lapsed, and so just really excited to get back to it, get back to work today. Have a great challenge ahead of us with the Redskins, and we're gonna have to make sure we're on top of our stuff.
I don't think they're called the Redskins anymore.
Oh, my bad. Shoot, Washington football team. I'm tripping. My bad. Yeah.
I was about to make the same mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you've been able to watch of them so far, but as you know, Alex Smith, their quarterback, is coming off of a horrific injury. I'm just wondering whether you see any sort of, hesitance, any sort of caution in this game, whether you would know that that type of injury is in his background.
No, honestly, I think I see the exact opposite, really. I see a lot of decisiveness in where he wants to get the ball. He has that veteran presence that you see. And, I mean, if you haven't seen the documentary of how, his adversity he's had to overcome, I mean, it's truly amazing what he's been able to do. So I got a lot of respect for him and the type of person he is, type of player he is. And I'm sure he's a great leader for them. That's why you've seen so much success. I think it starts with him. And, he's going to present some challenges to us, and we got to make sure we're studying him hard and ready to go.
Hey, Fred, you've been there about a week now. Is that becoming normal for you? Do you feel like you're in somewhat of a routine?
Me personally, yeah. I'll let other guys say if they're adjusted to it or not, but I feel like everybody's doing well with it. I found a way to get back into my routine, similar to what I had back in Santa Clara. I'm good to go. I'm rolling, so I'm good with it.
Fred, when you look at Washington's offense, what's their identity? What are they trying to do, and how do they like to attack defenses?
First of all, love the tree in the background. Yeah, and I think what they're trying to do, obviously, they're trying to run the ball. They have a great rookie running back who I think got dinged up a little bit in this last game, but also they're just trying to get you with the short intermediate routes that get Alex going, and they're going to take what you give them. So if you're not on your job, they're going to expose you, and they've been very effective with just being efficient on offense because they do have such a great defense. So overall as a team, I think they're just working together in unison really well.
Hey Fred, last year you guys were being flexed into primetime games. Just announced the Cowboys game being flexed out. Is there any sort of disappointment from a player's perspective not being in primetime?
Yeah, I saw it. I was pretty disappointed. I love playing those type of games where the whole league's watching, but it is what it is. When that game comes, we'll be ready to go and play just as hard regardless of what time it's at.
Hey, Fred, this is a bit random, but I know you're a guy who's studied the game a lot. When you got to San Francisco, how aware were you of some of the lineage of players at your position, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, those guys? And have you been able to develop a relationship with any of those guys over the last few years?
Yeah, very familiar. Regardless of if you study tape or not, I think you're pretty familiar with guys like Patrick and Navarro just because of how great of football players they are. If you love the game, you know who those names are. And being able to be drafted by the 49ers and knowing that, how great of players have come before you, that there's a big responsibility on your shoulders. And Patrick and I have talked over the years. We have a great relationship even now. He's constantly telling me, how good I'm doing and what I need to keep doing. And, it's just great to even have his, just for him to even be watching me and acknowledging my play is amazing. So, sometimes I feel myself being starstruck, but I mean, it's real. And just the fact that like I said, like I have his respect means the world.
Two more guys?
Right, talking to players, they always say,
control what you can control, all the things that professionals are supposed to say. But how much of a challenge is it to, be in Arizona, dealing with human nature, being away from your family, just given that you guys are humans after all, and it might be easier to say control what you can control than actually go through it.
Well, yeah, I think it's obviously different from the outside looking in compared to what it is experiencing it, and I try not to dwell on the circumstance because at the end of the day, there is an end point to all of this. It's not like we're stuck in this situation. It's something that you have to put up with for a few weeks, and the quicker that you're able to adapt and accept it is the quicker that you'll be able to improve as a player. Because at the end of the day, like we're playing football, and you're either getting better or you're getting worse. And if you allow the circumstance to dictate your performance, then you're in a load of trouble. So, like I said, I'm not really thinking about it. We could talk about it all day long, but I'm on to the Washington football team.
Hey, Fred, are you noticing how offenses are playing you maybe differently week after week as you kind of put more on tape what you can do? Or are they staying away from you, running away from you? How do you notice how they're approaching you specifically?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like the opportunities, especially in the run game, has been a little different from just feel wise. Having to play backside a lot more. But for the most part, I feel like it's pretty similar. And in the past game, I'm gonna have to play my job, and they're gonna have to play what they're doing regardless. And so it just depends on if the quarterback wants to try me in my area or not. So just got to continue to improve and get better in all areas of my game.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks.
Nick here for you.
Hey Nick, how's everything going?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, thanks. So what's your process in just getting back to work, putting Monday behind you, or learning from Monday and then moving on to the next opponent?
Oh yeah, it's a quick week. Quick turnaround. Recovered yesterday. Right back out to work today, and just focus on the job at hand, and that's Washington this week. Ready to get to work. We got the installs going in. About to hit it on the practice field, and so you watch the film, you learn from it, correct your mistakes, and just focus on the details and the fundamentals at practice, so you can be your best on Sunday.
Hey, Nick, what are your impressions of their defensive line? Obviously, a lot of first-round picks, and amount of investments they've made there?
Yeah, they're very solid. I feel like it's a strength, one of the strengths of their team. They're very solid. Four really good players. I mean, all across the board, all four of them, and they do a great job. They're good with their hands. They're aggressive, and but I like our guys up front. Our guys battle, and they're super talented, and so I'm ready for the challenge.
Nick, what is Trent Williams brought to you guys, and have you been able to sense anything for him this week? Is there something special for him this week going up against his former team?
I haven't talked to him about that yet, but I'm sure it'll be an exciting week for him. But every week is for Trent. He's an incredibly talented player, really cool teammate. You know, I really enjoy being around Trent. Just talking to him, really cool dude, and obviously a leader. He's a very strong leader in this locker room. Actually, he speaks up when things need to be said, and I mean, he's obviously his resume speaks for himself. But I'm very thankful that he's got my blind side.
Nick, can you take us back maybe to the halftime of the game, the last game against Buffalo? Just how you guys try to rally up and prepare yourselves for a second half comeback, and what that entails.
Yeah, well, I think we felt like we could have done some big things. I think the challenge was Buffalo did keep the ball for a while. They did a very good job of controlling the football. So we just needed to find a way to stay out there. There were a couple mistakes that held us back on certain drives. But we felt like opportunities were coming. And so we were just rallying together and staying solid through the process.
Hey, Nick, now that you've been down there for a week and kind of settled in, have you kind of found a routine and kind of your new normal? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, we have all the resources that we had in San Francisco for the most part. So my routine has been very consistent. Day after the game, work out, get a warm up in, keep my body loose, get some treatment, things like that. Get to watching on your next opponent. Watch a lot of film after the game on your next opponent, so you're knowing what you're going against in practice on Wednesday, which is today. And then you get your installs on Wednesdays, and then right back to it. And so you're working on your mental game plan, and you're taking care of your body at the same time. And so everybody, support staff, has done a great job to keep us to be able to stick to the routine.
Nick, your throw to Brandon Ayuk was the longest of the season for the 49ers in terms of air yards. And then you also try to hit him deep on that opening drive that drew a pass interference penalty. How is he on the deep ball? How is your connection there? And what about him in that aspect of the game, going deep?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to take those shots. Going into the game, we felt like the opportunities to take some deep shots were there, and Brandon has all the talent in the world to run those type of routes and make those type of plays, as you saw on Monday night. So I love that connection, and I'm really excited about his potential and his results in the field. I mean, he's a baller.
Nick, just curious if you've ever spent any time studying Alex Smith, and I guess this might sound like a dig, but it's not. But just given that you guys might share characteristics in that neither of you have the strongest arm or the greatest athleticism, if there's anything about his game that you've tried to pick up over the years.
Yeah, I think I haven't studied you watch film of guys, but I haven't studied him like too much in particular. But you do see him on tape, just watching other teams and things like that. And the thing that I just talking about efficiency, I think that's the biggest thing. He's doing a great job of leading that team, and he's playing very efficient. And that's what I'm striving to do every day. And so yeah, he's a great player, great career, and obviously you admire his toughness. I mean, his story is incredible, and his resiliency is incredible. So a lot of respect for him as a quarterback.
Hey, just wondering, after Monday's loss, is there a renewed sense of urgency? Like, we've got to run the table now to get in those playoffs?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest thing that comes with that is just focusing on the details at practice. Just fundamentals. Me personally, I know there's some fundamentals that I can keep working on to be as efficient as I can be. And I think that's the biggest thing, just details.
urgency, like you said, and just going back to work.
2 more guys.
Nick, you talked about how everybody has their routine down. You guys have adjusted pretty well to kind of having your new home away from home. But you with a young family, how much more challenging is that for you? How is your wife dealing with everything? Just kind of an overall feeling about what being apart.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously wish we could be together, which hopefully she'll be able to come out with a little one at some point. But I mean, I've been so wrapped up in football that I haven't really even like thought about logistics and stuff. But it's a challenge. But I mean, when we have OTAs, we're away for 6 weeks and things like so. We're used to being away from each other to an extent. So it's not really too bad. But you're just focused on the job at hand, really. I gotta play football, lead this team, and appreciate my family's support. I know they always love me and got my back.
Nick, the TV cameras caught you on Monday night, kind of showing some frustration after some plays. I'm just wondering, when we see you like that, is it because you didn't see it the way you should have? You didn't execute the throw you wanted? Where does your frustration lie when it comes to stuff like that? And then how do you go about correcting it and not repeating the play that led to that frustration?
Yeah. I think every play is different, so I think I would really have to see it to understand which plays you're talking about. But there were some sequences during the games when I thought I should have made some plays and I didn't. And so if I'm ever showing frustration, I'm really just frustrated at myself, knowing that I can execute.
Thanks, Nick.
Appreciate that.